Ruslan. King's Dream Entertainment. Ruslan.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are live for the after party stream. If you're here live, let me know where you're watching this from. This is for everybody that just watched the previous stream about Chris Pratt, how we can do things onto the glory of God in industries that may be hostile to our faith. I think it was one of the most important videos I've ever put together. And so if you guys have questions about that, this would be the time to ask those questions. If not, it is absolutely a-okay. We can wrap up the stream and I could go do some family stuff. So anyway, if you're watching this live, let me know where you're watching this from, and we will be chopping up with you guys. Grand Rapids, Michigan is in the house. All right. Let me know where you're watching this from, and we will be doing any questions you have regarding the previous stream. Now, if you're not a Patreon, you should consider becoming a Patreon. It is the best way to partner with what we're doing here. For $10 a month, you get access to all kinds of cool perks, including a Zoom call with me where you can ask questions live on YouTube, so on and so forth. He said, I'm gonna watch Parks and Rec after this. Hey, I feel you. Arizona's in the house, Bermuda's in the house, Pasadena's in the house, Kenya's in the house. Wow, we are international. I love it, man. Tampa's in the house, South Florida, Ontario, Trinidad and Tobago. Let me know where you guys are watching this from. Texas is in the house. What up? Jamaica's in the house. You should look up his award speech. It's amazing. Thank you, Jeremy. I appreciate it. Okay, guys. So if you have questions specifically about Chris Pratt or this idea of work ethic, of doing things onto the glory of God, drop them in right now, and we will be chopping it up. I could play. Hopefully, everybody who's here was just at the previous video. If you're not, it's probably not going to make sense what we're talking about. But if you guys don't have any questions, that just means I must have done a fantastic job as a YouTuber communicating these ideas. Watching from a warehouse, Connecticut. You're Japan. Wow. Hey, Liv, thank you for being here. Virginia. Pete, the future Chick-fil-A employee. Pete, why are you a future Chick-fil-A employee? Are you too young to work at Chick-fil-A? Let me know. That's interesting. He said he's a future Chick-fil-A employee. Okay. So, guys, let me know where you're watching this from, and I would love to hear from you in the stream right now. Watching from a warehouse. Okay, respect. What up, Pete? Shout out to you. Miami's in the house. About to be going out to South Florida here pretty soon. Cocoa Beach. All right. Future Chick-fil-A employee, thank you for your chicken fried. Cocoa Beach. Okay, guys, if you have some questions for me, this is time for me to engage with the chat and chop it up about any questions you guys may have. And if you have a question, now would be the time to drop it. If not, it's actually totally okay, because I got some family stuff I got to run to. Do you think Chris gets hate because of his religious faith? From every measurable metric I've seen, it is because of his religious faith, and I would say the misrepresentation of him and his religious faith. So it's not just like, you're Christian bad. I think it's like, you're this type of Christian that we think you are, therefore bad. You see what I'm saying? Is it cool for a Christian to work in Hollywood or questionable industries? It depends on the industry, but yeah, I think you can work. You think you can do all things onto the glory of God. You know what I mean? And so, yeah. So yes. To answer your question, yes. To answer your question, yes. Okay. Any other questions? No questions. Said no questions. Yes. All right. What do you think? This is interesting. Wait. Why is it catching? Okay, here we go. I'm not a cat says. It's a great name. What do you think Scientology is so well accepted, but Christianity not in Hollywood? I think any faith, and you can say Christianity to varying degrees too, or types of Christianity, any faith that puts you as the center of the universe and puts you as the cause and the purpose and everything, is going to get traction. I think it's going to get traction. So if that is the objective of Scientology, but I'm not refreshed on Scientology, but I think it is, or if it's a Christianity that puts you at the center of the universe, I think usually it's going to get people behind it. I think anything that says God's the center of the universe, you're broken, you need a savior, I think isn't going to be as popular. You know what I mean? So hopefully that makes sense. Do you people think Chris is a prosperity believer? No, I think it's the Hillsong affiliation, and they think he's a conservative. Question: what are your thoughts on true followers of Christ in the Bible living somewhere like Sodom, as Sodom and Gomorrah, Hollywood? I think you can be the light in areas. I definitely think there's believers there, even if they may be struggling or maybe they do things I disagree with. Denzel Washington comes to mind, Chris Pratt. So I think it's possible. I think you can. And I think some people can be built for it, and God can give them platform. Just like I think some people can be built to be billionaires. I think some people could be built to be, to run companies with thousands of employees. Those are all things I would never want. I think a Christian could become president. I wouldn't want that. But I think it's I think it's possible. Love the question you asked at the end. How exactly would you recommend us to go about doing so? I think the easiest way is, one, deal with your issues and the things that whatever you're processing, whatever your sin, whatever those skeletons in the closet that you hope people never find out, really work that out. One. Two, become excellent and valuable and useful, helpful in an area that people need help in. And I think if you do that, you'll be blown away by how much favor and how many doors that'll open. Proverbs says your gift will make room for you. I think it says a skilled man sits before kings. So that would be my advice. Two sides, right? Boom, work your stuff out so that you're not one of these folks out here that's living a double life and got all kinds of issues. Two, make yourself useful, man. I know a guy. It's going to sound crazy. Okay, so just bear with me. Okay, I know a guy who's a friend of mine. He's helped me out a little bit behind the scenes. Maybe I'll have him on the channel someday. Maybe I don't. He's a 8-figure entrepreneur. He's made over 8 figures last 2 years in a row, maybe 3 years in a row. Loves Jesus, and this guy charges $100,000 for a day with him, a coaching thing. Right now, he gets that frequently. Why? Because everyone he's helped, the skill set he has and his ability for business, has built multi-7-figure businesses. So here's a guy that does 8 figures, helps other people with his skill set that he developed, and charges a ridiculous amount of money because he can help other people build 7-figure businesses. This is a real person. Do you think this type of person with this type of skill set will be able to go into just about any room with any people from any faith and be useful and be beneficial, and therefore have the freedom and have the ability to share his faith unapologetically, even if people disagree with him and have preconceived notions that are false about his faith? Absolutely. Now that's an extreme hyperbolic example I'm using, right? But a skill set where you can help other people do certain things can not only generate more revenue for you, but it could also generate more influence for you. And I think oftentimes we negate the fact that the deficit between the type of person that's flourishing and not flourishing is usually skill set, timing, willingness to work, provide, help people, right? And congruence with the values. Self-esteem comes from congruence with your values. Confidence comes from competence. If you're competent at something, then you will be confident at it. So if you're walking around with low self-esteem, it's usually because you got some incongruent values there. You say you're going to do one thing, but you do another. You say you're going to lose weight and not eat ice cream, but you keep eating ice cream. That's incongruent. That's why you don't feel good about yourself. That's self-esteem. Confidence is because you don't have certain skills. You're not competent in certain areas. I am not confident to go and drive 18-wheelers like my father-in-law does. I don't have that skill set. I'm unconfident in that area. However, that doesn't mean that I'm insecure or that I have low self-esteem. You see what I'm saying? So it's an and both approach, right? What does Elliot Page think she is calling out Chris's church? Who does Elliot Page think she's calling out? What made her specifically relevant? I don't even know who Elliot Page is. I'm keeping it a buck with you. Do you think Chris would ever do a faith-based movie like Mark Wahlberg? Yes, I do think so. My personal question is, if you could tell Chris one thing, what would it be? Continue being unapologetic about your faith and continue being yourself, and don't be afraid. That's probably what I would tell him. Richie said, Ruslan, when can we expect a interview with you and Chris? Man, that would be dope. I'd be so down to interview Chris. I don't know him. I have no relation to him. I don't know him personally, but it's pretty dope. I like seeing people who love Jesus operating at elite levels and building cool things, right? So whether that's and non-Christians too. Like I think to build something that people use is dope, even if they don't follow Jesus. I think there's a thing we can lean here, Do you think it's worth it to toe the moral line at times to be in a place of influence as a Christian. Any word on how one would navigate that? I don't have a word on how to navigate that. I don't think it's I'm not towing the moral line. I'll give you an example. I am not going to a strip club to have meetings. If I'm a rapper and I'm in Atlanta and I have friends that are rappers in Atlanta that love Jesus, and a lot of business nowadays gets done in strip clubs, guess who would never be in a strip club under any circumstances? That's a moral line I wouldn't cross. Would I go to a bar and not have a drink? Sure, I'd go to a bar. Would I go to a club? Probably not, just because I think it's so counterintuitive with music. But yeah, that would be like a line I would draw. I'm not doing that, right? But there's probably somebody somewhere that would justify that. Well, do you understand? It's just the cost of doing business. You got to go to strip clubs, blah, 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 to be in the music industry. Like, no, I'm not doing that, right? So when you say toe, yeah, that's a real thing. I'm shocked you guys don't know that. Like, that's how the Atlanta music scene moves. They do business in strip clubs. That's like that. That's the social town hall, if you will, right? So folks go and hang out in these places because certain rappers hang out in these places. They could be big practice. Folks have gotten Drake features off of just hanging out in strip clubs. You know what I mean? So like that's I wouldn't do that. Now, would I go to maybe a bar, or restaurant, fancy restaurant? Sure. So that's like, I think you got to know what those things are, and certain things like certain establishments I'm just not going to support. Right? I'm not going to go to. Yeah, I'm not doing that. Now, in terms of maybe being wise as a serpent, the way Jesus instructed followers of Jesus, be wise as serpents, innocent as doves. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I think most people I come into contact with at this point know I'm a follower of Jesus. However, when I first meet them, I don't open and lead with that. You know, and there's certain folks that like want to hear about it, that maybe they're Jesus adjacent, maybe they're Jesus, maybe they're dabbling, or maybe they're kind of loosely Christian. I went and hung out with Patrick David from Valuetainment. And I came in and he asked me where I was from, and I'm from where his mom is from. I didn't know that. And so he wanted to hear my story on the spot, gave him my testimony. Everyone at the table, I think the only person that Zuby's kind of a Christian, Patrick's kind of a Christian, but boom, I'm sitting with folks that are worth multi-8 figures, and boom, I'm sharing my testimony with Patrick David, right? And like right out the gate. So there's certain contexts that is appropriate. Other contexts that's not appropriate. I think you got to be wise and shrewd, you know? So I think you got to be wise. No question, but I want to say thank you for taking the time to put together the Mastermind Habits. Hey, thanks, Jesse's World. I'm glad you went through that. Hopefully it helped. I hope he can live in Hollywood and make an impact and bring people to instead being brought down. Yes, I imagine that would be super hard, but I guess someone's got to do it. Yeah, I know other folks that do movies and shows and stuff like that. It is hard, but it isn't as hard. Someone said Jesus adjacent, would that be Mary? No, Jesus adjacent just meaning like they might have values that overlap. I'm trying to think of an example. Like we can have values like free speech and not wanting some of the insanity we're seeing with trans athletes, right? Like me and Joe Rogan could be in agreement on that. We want free speech and we don't want the insanity of trans athletes. Okay, that is I would say a Jesus adjacent value, even though Joe Rogan's far from Jesus. Is that making sense? Right? So we could be aligned on something, work on something together, even though we may not be sharing the same worldview. That's what I mean by that, you know? So like if I met Joe Rogan, I probably wouldn't lead with, hey, here's my testimony. I'm gonna tell you about Jesus, right? But if he asked, I probably would. At some point, I would try to drive the conversation there in terms of building a friendship, just so that he knows exactly where I'm at. Hopefully this stuff is making sense, right? I've frequented secular spaces, and there's certain folks that I've met Jay-Z before, and I was jumped right into Jesus because of some of the weird imagery that was in his music. Just unapologetically, I don't care if I look crazy right now. We talking about Jesus, right? So I think you got to be shrewd. You know what I mean? I think you got to be shrewd. And that's not like a flex, like I'm friends with all these famous celebrities. You do music, you're in the mix. Eventually, you get into these circles. So hopefully that's helpful. Do you think Christian celebrities find their profession overlapping with their faith? I think they can. I don't think they always do, but I think they can. You know, professions overlapping with their faith. Yeah, I think they can. But I think there's folks that just do non-Christian jobs, and I think that's fine too. What would be a practical step towards glorifying God in all things? Justin, okay, so this is how I would look at it. Like, what is something, all things. So let's just like take your job. What is something that you want that you can do that would benefit your employer, that would bring glory to God? That would be my question. What is something that you can do or be better at that would benefit your employer and bring glory to God and help your team? Maybe if you are in IT, getting the latest certification so that you're at the same level or further along than everybody else. Maybe that's one of those things that can help the entire institution, and you being willing to go the extra mile, all things considering. Don't be in a toxic work environment that's making you work, a gajillion hours a week and violating your boundaries. But if you can go the extra mile, develop a skill set that helps what everyone's doing, instead of like, that's not in my job description, right? Now, again, you need to have boundaries, but that's one area I think of, right? Is like, do all things unto the Lord, Colossians 3:23. If we're approaching our jobs as they're not, it's not my job. God's given me this job. This job is here for a season. It's in His providence. Man, you can really view things differently, And so I think that would be my my advice, is go above and beyond, do things that aren't on your job description, develop yourself so that you can develop the team around you. I think you do those sorts of things, and you're probably going to help your employer, your boss, and you're probably going to get more responsibility. You're going to be a blessing to them. They're going to know that you're doing it because you're a Christian. That brings glory to God, so on and so forth, right? By the way, most Christians I know don't have this sort of work ethic, unfortunately. What do you think the balance is with pastors reaching out to celebrities without becoming immersed in their culture? It's a great question. I think celebrities don't want pastors to be immersed in celebrity culture, honestly. I mean, Justin Bieber has said that, pretty straightforward. So I don't know. But I think most celebrities don't want that right now. I don't know about reaching out to celebrities. That sounds weird, right? I guess if you're a pastor and you have some degree of influence, or maybe like you're verified on Instagram and you can slide through a DM and get through. Well, maybe that can do that. I've reached out to celebrities. I've reached out to folks that are just like, hey, whatever. I'm trying to think of like the last celebrity I've reached out to, just to like encourage them, But yeah, I think you need to have in the world but not of the world approach. You want to be available but not immersed. How you do that, you don't partake in certain things that they partake in. You distinguish yourself. You stop trying to be so worldly and so accepted to win their approval, So like if I don't drink, but hypothetically, like if I drank and I was trying to meet with someone, hang out with someone, like I probably wouldn't have a drink on that first meeting. I probably wouldn't drink around them, right? Because I would try to have some degree of distinguishable, definitely not using profanity, certain stuff like that. Like being holy is being set apart, At work, stop being negative, stop gossiping, stop shaving off the work. There you go. It's great. Yeah, I think most of us know the things we could do to be a bigger blessing to our job and our bosses, right? I think we know, hey man, if we do these things, we will be a bigger asset to the team. What can you do to be a bigger asset to the team? That's what I'm getting at. And the more of an asset you are, the more glory that brings to God. You know what I mean? So hopefully that's helpful. I think that's helpful. Is that helpful? Is that helpful? I like this topic, by the way. I like this idea of doing things unto the glory of God in a way that that incorporates the sanctification process of Jesus and overlaps with us being congruent with the things we say we're about. I think this is so needed in the church today. I think this is so needed in the church today, and we don't really talk about it enough, and especially like in the media side of things, in the arts and music, and I think Hollywood is fading, in my opinion. I think the new Hollywood is going to be like folks that are doing stuff like The Chosen, folks that are developing YouTube channels, folks that are developing TikTok, making interesting stuff for TikTok. That's where I think things are going to go. Do you have any thoughts, feelings on the what mandates? It's became a big issue in the film industry, love industry. I don't know what do you mean by what mandates? What are what mandates? I got to Google that. What is a what man? I've never heard of that. Are you talking about the bang bang? I thought that was done. I thought COVID was over. What is a what mandates? You talking about the bang bang? Oh yeah. No, we're done with those. Yeah, we're done with those. I'm vaccinated. Again, that's not popular to say. I'm probably the only Christian influencer on here that'll tell you he's vaccinated, even though a lot more are also vaccinated. They know who they are. So I'll tell you straight up, so I think the mandating part is just stupid and counterproductive, because now you got people that are already skeptical and you're going to force them to do something they don't want to do. But from my understanding, I mean, I think this stuff I think we're done. Like I thought we were kind of like unanimously like, oh, it's done, and I think we're also looking at what's going on in Shanghai in terms of their lockdowns and being like, we took cues from them. Like we took cues from them on how to deal with, this stupid COVID-0 approach. And I thought we were done, honestly, so I think you gotta use discernment. I think you gotta be wise, like I'm not getting kicked. Like I'm not like getting kicked out on the street over that. Like I'm not dying on that hill if I'm uneasy about it. But yeah, so hopefully that's helpful. My boss yelled at me and threatened me for something he thought I did, and later apologized. I'm shocked that he did it, and I'm so stressed at this job. I need prayer on direction that this happened. That this has happened often. I'm so sorry, man. That's brutal that's happened often. I think if you feel like it's a toxic work environment, don't feel like you have to stay there. I think you could probably find a better job and or develop some useful skills while you're waiting for a better job. I think that's okay too. And that's probably what I would be looking for, in my opinion. Ike said there's an awakening happening in Hollywood when you hear Mark Wahlberg wanting to make more faith-based films. I think that was the start of a wave. Yeah, that's dope. I'm all about that. How do you balance speaking with unbelievers who oppose the faith without turning them off to the gospel when they are overt with their beliefs? I think you just have honest conversations and you say, this is what it is, and I would ask more questions to kind of get to the core of what they believe. Is what the core of what you believe truly what you think positions God in his rightful place? Or is what you believe truly positions you as the God of your own universe? I would be trying to I'm trying to get to those core questions. You know what I mean? That is what I would be looking at, if that makes sense, right? So like those kinds of questions, I think, get to the root of these issues, because not everybody's in the same place. There are people that are just hostile to the idea of standards and morality. There are other people that are just confused and have been hurt from the church, and maybe their type of experience with Christianity has scarred them, and therefore that like you semi being affiliated with what they think Christianity is triggering to them. There's people who legitimately are just hedonists and they just don't want to be told what to do. There's people who believe in nonsensical manifestation. There's people because they're desperate and they want to become successful, but they don't know how. They don't understand how natural law works. There's such a wide spectrum of people, so I don't think we want to just lump all non-believers into the same category. You know what I mean? Like I think that's that. Yeah. Hopefully that's helping. Hopefully that's helping. I could go deeper on that if you want me to, Randy. I'm just not. I don't know where to take that, but yeah. Justin said, how can we go about living? How can we go about having a healthy work-life balance? Well, I don't believe in work-life balance, to be frank with you. I believe in Sabbath. I believe in rest. I believe in work. I believe in time with family being a priority. I believe in sometimes I got to pull away. Other times I got to press in. And I also believe in systems. So a system for me is I like to be there when my kids wake up. I like to be there when my kids go to sleep. I do bedtime every night. That's a system for me. But other times I'm doing a lot of work. Sometimes I can pull away, and like we're going to Great Wolf's Lodge later in the month. I could pull away on a Wednesday, Thursday night and bounce, right? That's dope. Right, so it's like it's less of a balance. It's more of a juggle, if that makes sense. So I don't know so like sometimes I may not work for a week or two. Other times I may work really hard on the weekend. It's more of a juggle. Generally speaking, though, I try to have those anchors in my life. Boom, I'm not doing these things on, these days, if that makes sense. I try not to work Saturdays and Sundays. I try not to. At least Saturday. I try to have at least one day off. I try not to, I try to be home for bedtime, so on and so forth. I try to take my family with me if I struggle, if I travel. So yeah, hopefully that's helpful. Real talk with Jeremiah said, I think I'm going to school online and have my future ahead, but this job pays the bills. I've always tried to work with integrity, and this toxic environment makes me want to do something irrational. Don't do anything irrational, my brother. However, I would say, are there any like short-term certifications or short-term skills you could pick up that kind of like are aligned with other skills, like short-term things that you could like pop to help you transition over into maybe a different job, maybe a bilateral move, maybe a different job with a little bit more responsibility, you know, that kind of thing. Sometimes when you're going to school and you're going to work, you're afraid to make those kind of changes. But if this is hurting your soul, don't stay in that type of situation if you can afford to do something else. I think you should try to talk to Inspiring Philosophy. Yeah, Inspiring Philosophy is fire, by the way. I've wanted to reach out to him. And Christia Apologist akin to Capturing Christianity. I don't know who Christia Apologist is, but I know Cameron from Capturing Christianity. I consider him a friend, acquaintance, friend. How do you share the gospel at work without getting fired? How do you code the language and speak it in parables to share Jesus? Ask questions. Ask questions. Here's the thing that again, why is this serpent's innocent as dove? Ask questions about people, fill them out, make sure you're not violating boundaries. And usually people have this thing called reciprocity. Well, they'll want to ask questions about you. But at the very least, if you have rapport and you're asking questions with people, eventually they'll ask you, what are you doing this weekend? Oh, I'm going to church on Sunday. Oh, you go to church? Yeah, I go to church. Yeah, it's dope. I love church, right? So I would say ask questions, and then people usually will want to flip it and ask you questions, you know? So that's how I would look at it, if that's helpful. At my school, I've been criticized for being an open Christian. I've lost lots of friends because of this stuff, but I'll never lose my faith, no matter how many friendships might end. Yeah, that sucks. I'm sorry, Edward. I'm sorry. I don't know what school you go to. I can't say I've lost more closer interpersonal friendships because of my standards as a Christian with Christians or like, I don't know, Christians that drift than I have with casual non-Christians, if that makes sense. So, you know, I would look at that like be wise as serpents, innocent as doves verse and passage and see how you could apply that. How do you personally deal with people who think a lot of things are just opinions? Point them to natural law and objective reality. Certain things are not opinions. Murder is always murder. It's always wrong. Not self-defense, not killing. Murder is always murder. It's always wrong. Stealing is wrong. So that's how I would look at it. Like point them back to objective realities, natural laws that we've all come to accept. We all know as a society, if we start doing these things flippantly, we're going to freaking implode, right? How does the never quit outlook on life always work? Why does the never quit outlook on life not always work? Because sometimes you're not quitting the right things you should be quitting. Some of y'all out here trying to be Christian rappers for Jesus, and you probably should quit that because you're not good at rapping. That's just one example. I'm thinking off the cuff, right? You want to be a rapper, but you don't want to learn the skills to go along with being a rapper. Boom, stop that. Go learn the other stuff to be a rapper. You can be a rapper if you learn the skills that you need to be a rapper. I'm just thinking that because that's a lot of folks I know. So never quitting. Sometimes you need to quit. Sometimes you need to call an audible. Sometimes you need to figure out other things. Sometimes you need to go and get stable before you pursue the thing that you're passionate about. Sometimes you don't follow the passion, you follow the opportunity. Goodness gracious. So many dumb people just blowing it with some of this stuff that wonder why these things aren't working the way they want them to work. I mean, it's like, fam, you're not really offering value to the marketplace, you know? So like, in my case, like I love music. That's still my passion. I love music. I love Jesus. Guess what? Music wasn't generating the type of impact and the type of income. It still generates a passive income from my back catalog because of sync licenses. However, I didn't want to travel anymore, so I called an audible. I do YouTube now. I still want to go back to music, but YouTube pays substantially better than music ever did. Shout out to Wado, who's in the chat. He knows what I'm talking about. And so content, and by the way, I got stable, made some more money. I could go back and make music. I can go back release music. Matter of fact, I think when this stream is done, I'm about to work on some music. You see what I'm saying? But like sometimes you got to go backwards to go forward, right? Sometimes you gotta like get your house in order before you go and build another house. So I feel like this has got to be helping somebody. So yeah. Anyway, Aaron, thank you for the super chat. How do you share the gospel with a atheist uncle? So the way I would do it, it's my opinion. Try to take them from atheism to theism. See if that works. Atheism to theism, theism to Christianity. That's how I would look at it. Try to get to the core of their actual issues. Most atheists aren't truly atheists. They're more agnostic. They don't. It's not that they believe they know for certain God doesn't exist, because you can't know that. It's like they don't want the God of the Bible to exist. Try to deal with those issues, if that makes sense. Tip, share with your coworkers on leadership skills you hold at church, leader at CR. On that could win respect for others for your skills to lead others. Amen. Ruslan, you said you didn't vote for Trump. Who did you vote for this past election? I voted for Libertarian. I was going to troll you and say I wrote in Kanye. I didn't write in Kanye. I voted for the Libertarian candidate. If there's any, I'm not a big like politics defining me with labels, but if there's any category I would fall into, it would be closer to Libertarian than Democrat or Republican, because I just think they're both uber toxic. I've lately, because I've not held certain views that seem secondary, have been told I don't worship the same Jesus. It's always been in comment section on YouTube. Yeah, YouTube is not a real place. Comment sections aren't a real place. All right, so yeah, don't take that stuff seriously. Straight up, people say all kinds of wild stuff about me. You know, what are those priorities in your day-to-day that you always get to? Great question. Gym, always. Bible, always. Family, always. Something creative, always. And I want to get back into doing something musical, always. On Monday through Friday, video on YouTube, always. Post on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube short, always. Those are the easiest ones. I'm trying to stick to my meal prep, not cheat on my meals. Hoping to get back down to like 171, 172. I'm 5'10 and a half, so 171, 172. I'm probably walking around about like 11, 10% body fat, shredded, and stay there always. So those would be some things that like are non-negotiables for me on a day-to-day basis. How do you suggest sharing the gospel with young children? More is caught than taught. Show them the gospel. Show them how Jesus has changed you. Show them that you're a sinner still. Man, I think one of the healthiest things we could do is apologize to our kids. I'd be failing. Man, I was too harsh with you last night, son. I'm so sorry. I shouldn't have spoken to you that way. I'm sorry. I apologize. You know, do you forgive me? Man, I think those sorts of things, goodness gracious, can go so far with sharing the gospel in a way where people can see it. You know what I mean? Why is it that God reaches people to Christ more than others? I feel like there's favoritism when it comes to Christianity, even though people say Jesus is for everyone. But I don't think that's true. I'm not following along. Jesus is the way, so I'm not sure what you mean by Christianity. Yeah, you got to ask that question different. I'm sorry. Emmanuel, hey Ruslan, I've been watching your Master My Habits course, and I'm loving it. Appreciate all that you do. Praise God, Emmanuel. Thank you so much. Please apply the course. That would be amazing. I need y'all to apply the course. That would be fire. Comment Christian warriors are insane. Comment Christian warriors are an insane breed. He called him a breed. I love it. How do you correct people that constantly use the phrase, oh, you're just judging? I would say, yeah, in certain things we should judge. In certain things it's okay to judge. Certain things in the church, we judge. 1 Corinthians chapter 5, we judge people who are sexually immoral in church. Certain things we're supposed to judge. God has given us that as clear instruction in 1 Corinthians chapter 5. So I think you gotta, but now are we talking somebody full on embracing and indulging in sin? Or are we talking about a secondary issue? If you don't think, I don't think alcohol is wise. I don't drink alcohol. However, if somebody I know who's a Christian, loves Jesus, drinks alcohol, that's different. I'm not going to be like, you idiot, why are you drinking alcohol? Right? You see what I'm saying? So, yeah, hopefully that answers the question. Because there's certain things you just need to leave alone, like how other people raise their kids. And, like if it's not like a clear violation, leave it alone. Other things, we're not supposed to leave alone. Where do you go to church? Home church, same church, 20 years. The movement, it'll be 20 years this December. And I'm looking at possibly transitioning. We're still praying about it. We're waiting for the release to potentially transfer over to my buddy Jeff Moore's church called Rhythm Church here in Oceanside. So yeah, I said content's on point. Thank you, brother. I appreciate it. All right, guys, I'm gonna go. You guys got me talking about food. It's 6 o'clock, which means it's dinner time for your guy. I'm gonna try to chop down the stream from earlier a little bit, and then maybe I'll get into some music stuff because my family went to drop my father-in-law off. I'd like to merge my passions of technology development and my faith. How'd I best fuse the two? I think you be someone that's about your faith in your industry. I don't think you need to merge the two. I think you need to be that guy first, and if an opportunity presents itself, then you pursue that opportunity. But not everything has to be merged, right? It's okay to just be a Christian that's in it. Like I got a buddy of mine who does really well, like outlandishly well, multiple 6 figures a year, and he works for Stripe. He works for Stripe. He does really well. He's not like sharing the gospel with his team every day, right? Like he's an engineer, he's a coder, he crushes and just does his thing, you know, and he got some stock, and when they go public, he's probably going to be a multi-millionaire. So, you know, I think it's okay to just be that dude. And guess what? When someone's making 300-400K a year in tech, do a lot of really dope stuff with that money. You could help a lot of people. You could feed a lot of single moms. You know what I'm saying? You get it? You know, like sometimes it's okay to just go earn as much as you can, give as much as you can, save as much as you can, help as many people as you can by working a job that, you know, just straight onto the glory of God. I'm just gonna be a follower of Jesus. People gonna know where I'm at, and what God allows me to generate, I'm gonna go use it to help people. Praise God. We need more Christians like that. You know what I'm saying? We need more Christians like that. And if you're one of those Christians, you need to partner with us on Patreon. Where's the Patreon button? You need to partner with us on the Patreon, man. $10 a month. If you enjoy what we're doing, we're trying to hire more people. We got a team. We have overhead. We have expenses. We have this building that we're in. We're trying to get a bigger building. So if you want to partner with us, $10 a month, or you can make a one-time donation. Link is in the description to all the one-time donations. Patreon is really the best way, just because it kind of makes it more consistent, because YouTube AdSense isn't super duper consistent. But yeah, man, listen, I really do appreciate you guys. I appreciate everybody who's here. I appreciate you guys rocking with us. I appreciate all the Patreon and all the people that watch, even if you can't financially support. It's all good. I love you guys. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna eat my meal prep. We're on day 2 of this thing me and my wife are doing for the next 90 days. My wife is first time she's following a macro plan by my trainer. And so pray for us. All right. I love you guys. Peace.
Kingstream Entertainment. Ruslan